Hey, Wilson Morales from Black Film and TV. Joe, how long ago was it they told you were going to come back for the sequel?
Well, it's something that's been in the works in different iterations for a few years. I mean, I think they started working on the sequel pretty soon after the first one had come out, and then it was just they couldn't really figure out what to do with it, and they had different writers that came on, and it didn't feel right. And then, you know, because of the debacle that happened over at Disney, we got James Gunn, and then of course everything got, you know, fast tracked, and James wanted to do this, and he had this idea of what could be done with the Suicide Squad, and he wrote a first draft, and that first draft is very close to what the movie is, very close.
So, being one of the returning characters, where are you with Rick Flag at this? Where's Rick Flag at this point?
Well, you know, when James took over this, sure, we were in this other film before, but this lives in its own universe. So one of the first conversations that I had with James was that, you know, we're just going to let this flag live in this universe, and we're not going to feel bound to like how I was or what we did in the first film. We're just going to let this be its own thing. And so it became a little bit of a lighter character. He's not so, you know, dour and as pained as the first iteration was. He doesn't hate everyone all the time. and there's relationships that has evolved. The relationship with Harley is very different now. They've gone through war together, and he has a real affection for her. He trusts her in a weird way. And that also becomes a part of the film of you know, not, you know, when something happens to Harley, like Rick is going to direct the team to save her, and you know, not that Harley needs any saving, but so there are you know, and then of course, with James' touch on the character, it was a lot more comedic, and you know, that was really fun for me to get to jump in that kind of form.
Rick Flag is like the detention monitor, and with you there, you know, you're like the one person that kind of interacts with all of the characters when you think about the first film and this movie. So how was it on set, knowing you're seeing a whole new cast, you know, that you get to be a part of?
Yeah, I mean, it was super fun. You know, I've always been a big fan of Idris, and so it was really fun to get to have, you know, all those scenes that I had with him, and then I had a lot of fun with John as well, and he really surprised me. He, you know, I've known him. I saw him in Trainwreck, and you know, he had a couple of scenes there that was really funny, and you saw, okay, this guy really has a sense of humor, but on set, I realized that this guy is a straight up comedian. He really, and he's an interesting guy. And we had a lot of work together as well. We were in a couple of like action sequences together. So we were rehearsing with the stunt guys together a lot. And yeah, it was fun. It's one of the treasures of doing, you know, this franchise. It's such a big cast, and it's such a phenomenal cast, so you get to meet all these impressive individuals and get to know them.
You know, for what people who have seen it already and have said this is batshit crazy, with James Gunn, you're getting comedy, you're getting hardcore action and bloody gore, you know, which is more than what the first film had. Were you ready for that? Was it all on the page when you read it and then you saw it afterwards?
It was all on the page, but still, I didn't think that, you know, I read the first draft and I was like, yeah, but that's not gonna, you know, that's not gonna end up being in the movie. They're not gonna let it be an R-rated movie, and they did, you know, because you look at the scale of this. I was like, there's no way that this is, you know, this is gonna be a big budget movie, and they don't want those to be R-rated because it eliminates a big, you know, segment of the audience. But that's the beauty of doing a James Gunn movie, that, you know, he's proven himself time and time again so the studios, they just trust him, and they trust his vision, and they let him have all the toys, and they did on this one as well, and he delivered.
You've been able to, I saw you earlier in treatments, you're playing all these sort of different roles. What goes into saying yes to the roles you're taking?
Well, there's different aspects to it. I try to keep choosing characters that have sides that I haven't played before. I think it's really important as an artist to not repeat yourself, to keep yourself a little bit, like 10% outside of your comfort zone, to sound like a self-help book. And it's just important that you keep challenging yourself, and that's why I try to keep choosing projects. I mean, of course, the people that are involved is very important, like who's the director, how's the writing, how nuanced is it. But then I also try to choose characters that I feel like I haven't played before, and that's why this was fun too. Because I was, this was a situation where I was coming back to a character, but it actually felt like I was playing a new character this time.
With Suicide Squad, when the first one ended, you didn't really see it going to a sequel, but there is one. Why do you think the fans want to see a sequel?
Well, I wouldn't say that this is a sequel, I would say that this is its own thing. And I think, the Suicide Squad concept is really cool. It's a great comic. It just has so many possibilities. And I think that anyone that loves James Gunn's movies, they will understand what this guy could do with something like this. And, I'm obviously very biased, but I think this is James Gunn's best movie.
When you do a movie like this, would you want to do more comedy? I've seen you do straight up serious roles, and I've seen you do your share action cops, RoboCop and all of that stuff, like, do you think you have funny bones to do a comedy? Straight up comedy.
Yeah, I definitely enough to play the straight man. No, I would really like to do stuff that has comedy in it. I'd love to go into sort of more the action comedy space. I think I'd really enjoy that, and I think I have something to offer in that space.
When you're working with a cast like this, and obviously it's a big cast, was there anybody in particular that you either wanted to meet or hang out with, or you found totally surprising on their personality, by hanging out and by doing this movie?
I think, me, Margot, Pete Davidson, Courtney, David Dastmalchian, Daniela, we all, I mean, there was, all of us hung out. I mean, Idris was also, he was releasing a book, a clothing line. He was negotiating a peace treaty in Uganda. I mean, he's a busy guy, but even he found time to hang out sometimes. It's just a great group of people, so we had a lot of fun together.
Actors could never stop learning. And like you said, you've been talking about James Gunn. What did you get from his direction that you can take on to your next project that you probably didn't get from other directors?
Well, I definitely think it was the certainty around comedy. The comedic direction I felt was, I mean, that particularly for me. I mean, he has the sensibility for all of it. Actually, I think one of his more powerful directorial moments with me was in a scene where I was about to start crying, and he just kept pushing me and saying, like, do it again, say it again. And he felt like I was on a verge to sort of get over that little emotional hump. And then because he kept pushing me, I did. But then I think, on a day-to-day in this movie, it was very much the comedic timing and tone and sort of finding a way to be more relaxed with it. He was great there.
Well, Joe, obviously, like I said, fans are happy to see Rick Flag again. Different iteration, as you mentioned, but nevertheless, I think this movie is a blast. It's definitely gory. So you got to go in there. There's going to be a lot of whoa moments, So whatever you do next, I'll be talking to you hopefully then. Take care of yourself and stay safe.
Beautiful. Thanks, man. You too.